We've got a 0 degree Fahrenheit day, 10 to 20 mile per hour winds, wind chill of -15. I thought it'd be a great opportunity to look at this greenhouse. We also have a pretty powerful snow load packed real strong with wind. So let's take a look and see how this thing is holding up. Pretty clear it hasn't collapsed. When we look inside, you'll see, for those of you that had concerns about the structural integrity of this, I did take a lot of your thoughts to heart and added in some reinforcement, which I'll talk about in a moment. But I do plan on cleaning the roof a bit, if only to get a little more solar gain inside, although it is helping probably quite a bit in holding warmth in there, or I guess keeping the cold out. But very pleased structurally how this is holding up. One thing I wanted to point out, and this is a real nod to the structural strength of this Tuftex, I had absolute full intention to trim off this excess. I mean, there's a foot of overhang material that's unsupported, really bad engineering-wise, structural-wise. I had planned to take care of that. The plan was to get some guttering material, half PVC pipe or something, and trim it to just after this last purlin so that it was supported up to the last drop. And the fact, when I went to bed the other night knowing it was going to be this insane windy, heavy snow, I thought, oh man, I'm going to lose the roof here. Crazy that it held up. Really risky and dumb on my part to have not addressed it, but there's just so many things you can do in a day. But real testament to why I'm glad I went with this material. And once I clean it off, I know ASAP I've got to get that trimmed up and figured out. I guess if I'm going to call myself out for something I did that I think was a dumb move, I'll give myself a little credit on what I think was reasonable. I was debating when I first made this, should I have the door come inward or outward? And I thought, well, go outward so you lose less interior bed space. And then I talked to someone who made a greenhouse in our sort of climate, and they set the greenhouse door to open inward, and I'm so glad I did. I don't have to do anything other than open it and come inside. You can probably hear the difference. There's a little pack of snow for you. And still very, very clear there's more work to be done around sealing things up. It's just been so cold that the ability to make cob, which requires above freezing temperatures, and in order to make it and then above freezing for it to set, hasn't happened yet. So you can see where the wind drove snow deep into this space along the ground. In some ways, the packed snow along the bottom has probably helped seal up some of the air gaps, but we're still dealing with a very air leaky space. What I want to say is this: the little temp probe, it is 0 Fahrenheit outside. It definitely went below 0 last night. Right now, that little device reads 26. So we are 26 degrees above, and that's with no additional heat. I don't have the door to the house cracked open. It's just the ambient, the lack of wind and a little bit of solar gain. This is the most sun we've had in a bunch of days. It's feeling Arctic style around here. So I'm just floored. I don't really fully understand how it's that much warmer. It's still below freezing. I'm definitely not itching to start tomatoes in here anytime soon. But you can see I'm also doing some rough sketches now of, I had these storm windows available, and it looks like I can fit 2 per bed. I'm playing with the angles. That's too shallow of an angle for the winter right there. Sorry, the camera's a little hard to read. Now I want to use scrap wood. I'm not trying to use fancy new wood here. So I'm going to continue to explore that. And again, for those of you that shared concerns about structural integrity, I did prioritize taking this upright and mounting onto it a nice run of locust that spans 3 rafters in one direction to the east and then 3 to the west here, with a screw going into each one of those rafters to kind of knit them together, and then some knee bracing mounted onto here. And I don't know, would the roof have collapsed without this? Probably not, but it's really nice to have that sort of reinforcement. And I don't see any sections of the roof where, to me, it seems concerning with the amount of snowpack that's on there. Of course, I want to clean it off, just in case we get way more snow. I don't want to push my luck, but it's nice to know heavy driving snow up to a foot, packed really tight with brutal heavy lateral winds is not going to take this thing apart. The other thing I'm chipping away at is experimenting. In a lot of ways, I'm hitting the pause button on this project until we get a little break. Just stay inside by the wood stove, deal with the chicken's survival until it gets warmer. But I made a little simple plywood mount that wraps around one of these standoff tubes and mounted a 120 millimeter fan that I rigged up in the past to AC. And let's see if I can do this without making you seasick. But as a proof of concept, let's see if it works in the cold here. So definitely not safe and all. That's not the long-term solution. But the question was, 120 millimeter fan blowing down into one of these tubes, would it send air through the whole bottom of this bed and out to the other side? And since on YouTube you can't feel breeze, you can believe me or not, but right now, when I put my hand over here, I feel very good airflow. So, low consumption DC 120 millimeter fan seems like it will be sufficient to push air. I might need 3 of them, or perhaps 2 that gang up and send down two of these tubes and one on its own. We'll have to figure that part out. But I did get a solar panel and a USB controller for a 5-volt fan that's a lot quieter, lower airflow. And so that'll be the next test, is can I send... I don't need aggressive flowing air through this. I just want some airflow. And the other day when it was sunny in here, that was pumping, and the temperature, the laser temp probe on the other side read 60 Fahrenheit or 55 Fahrenheit. I think it was about 60 in here, so it was losing some heat to the soil but moving the air through. Real promising first steps there. Sorry, this video is going to be hard to watch. It's so bright outside with the snow and so dark in here. It's a little hard for the camera to figure out. I'll stop it there. One last thing, very, very rough sketch proof of concept is I've been watching these videos on folks putting together solar hot air collectors, and so I rigged up, based on some trash that I had, a box out of foam board with some with a storm window taped down. I don't know if you can see it. I used black silage poly. Let me get a shadow. There we go. Black silage poly inside, and I spray painted black some metal. It was basically old fencing that was going to go to the scrap metal recycle yard. And my thought is, I wonder if I can rig this up to be a preheater in the sun before the tubes suck air down into the soil. So the idea is it's cut out at 6 inches, and maybe I can put a little section there. So the idea would be this would come over and very, very rough idea. Of course, I'd have to figure out where to put it so it's not blocking too much sun on the bed. But it would be to accumulate sun. Perhaps I'd even put it just to the north of the bed so it's not blocking any sun from the bed, but to preheat the air before it gets sent down into the soil. I was watching folks make these where they were getting readings of 130 Fahrenheit out of the top, and I just wonder what that all would look like. So solar hot air collector paired with a climate battery. I haven't seen that before, so I'm interested to see. Any thoughts on that would be great. So, blah blah blah, more winter tundra fun, and the structure's holding up, thank goodness. More work to be done, more refinements, but damn, that's some serious igloo style on the outside there. That's that compost. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope wherever you are, you're warm. Or some of you are commenting you live in Australia or Florida, and this is kind of a novel idea to see such a cold climate. So hope you're enjoying staying cool. Take care.